Starter Pokemon of the last few generations have all got signature moves. Be they good or bad, there's an obvious attempt to make these Pokemon feel unique. Several of them used to have signature moves, but said moves became accessible to other Pokemon. Each starter Pokemon deserves some love, so what if every single starter Pokemon had a signature move? Let's just say Game Freak woke up the next morning and made it their mission to give every single starter Pokemon a signature move in their next game. So here's my attempt of what signature moves I would give them, and for the ones that already have signature moves, I'll probably buff them, but maybe not all of them if I feel they're fine the way they are. Some of these moves are going to be better than others, but hey, this is just what I came up with for each of them, and if they're too broken, then so be it. If you like my videos, then please consider like, sharing, and subscribing. So let's just hop right into it. Now, first up, we got Venusaur. Venusaur is this frog-like creature with a giant flower on its back, so I feel like there's a lot we can work with. And I'm not gonna lie, Venusaur is my favorite starter Pokemon, so I'm gonna have some bias and give it a signature move that involves one of my favorite gimmicks. For its signature move, it's going to get Floral Uproot, a grass-type special attack with 80 power, 100 accuracy, and a secondary effect which has a 50% chance to seed the target. This will cause the target to be under the effects of Leech Seed, where they will then lose 1/8 of their max health at the end of each turn, and the user's health is restored. Venusaur already learned Sleep Powder and Leech Seed, and with this move, it can exchange a Leech Seed out for it. But it really depends on what you want to run. Do you want Leech Seed, which has a 1 in 10 chance in missing, or Floral Uproot, which deals damage and has a 50-50 chance to activate its effect? Leech Seed is great because of the passive damage it deals, which also heals the user, so it's very effective. And Venusaur is the Seed Pokemon, so why would it not have a signature move that has a Leech Seed built into it? It's easy to mistake Charizard for a Dragon type. It looks like a dragon, it learns a decent amount of Dragon-type moves, and Mega Charizard X is even part Dragon-type. But despite its association to Dragon types, it's actually a Fire and Flying type. A lot of the Pokédex entries talk about how its fire burns harder when it experiences harsh battles, and how it's adept at flying. Flying types are on average the fastest type, so its moves should be speed related. And what I came up with is Burning Jetstream. This is a fire type move with 90 power and 100 accuracy. This move has a 30% chance to set Tailwind, but will also be a physical or special attack, depending on which of the user's attack stats are higher. Tailwind doubles all of your Pokemon's speed for 4 turns, so having a 30% chance to trigger this effect is phenomenal. It pretty much makes Flamethrower obsolete, so there's no point in running it over this signature move. And since Charizard has 2 Megas, one on the physical side and one on the special side, I included this move being able to be a physical or special attack. Who knows if Megas are going to stay longer this time, but either way, it's a neat effect. Blastoise is my least favorite of the Gen 1 starters. I mean, it's a giant turtle with cannons, which is pretty cool, but I found it the most boring to use. Fortunately, it was given access to Shell Smash, so now it can use this move to double its attacking stats and speed. That alone makes Blastoise more fun to use, and I think the signature move I came up with would make it even more fun, which is Hydro Rocket, a water-type special attack with 110 power and 80 accuracy, and has a 100% chance to lower the target's special defense by 1 stage. Now, this move is pretty much Hydro Pump with a secondary effect, and it would be devastating. 110 is pretty powerful, which is going to hit even harder the second time thanks to the guaranteed chance to drop the target's special defense. But I think having 80 accuracy helps prevent this move from being spammable, since there's that 1 in 5 chance it can miss. Meganium has been labeled the worst starter Pokemon in history. I mean, it's bulky, but its stats are so awkward that it doesn't excel in anything, and it doesn't have them much to offer. But in Meganium's defense, it's a lover, not a fighter. The Pokédex heavily emphasizes on how it can calm Pokémon and their fighting spirits, so that's indicative that it'd rather avoid battles if necessary, and it can revive dead plants with its breath alone, so giving Meganium a status signature move would be a nice nod to its passive nature. Therefore, its signature move will be Aromatic Scent. This move prevents status conditions and reduces damage from physical and special moves for the next 5 turns. However, this move can only be used in harsh sunlight. I know that's a handful, but come on, this is Meganium we're talking about. It doesn't do that much damage, and it's supposed to be this bulky Pokemon, but it's held back because of its terrible defensive type, and it already learns both Reflect and Light Screen. I'm not saying every Pokemon that learns both screens should have a move like this, but this is Meganium. It's not good offensively, and it's okay-ish at defense. Not could it only use dual screens, but it's also going to prevent it and its allies from being afflicted by status. I mean, Meganium already has Leaf Guard, which does something similar, but Leaf Guard is trash. So it's just like a Roar Veil and Safeguard rolled into one. Now, because of Light Clay, I guess it would extend the screens, but not Safeguard. Be that as it may, I know this single move would make Meganium an invaluable member of the team. Typhlosion is the volcano Pokemon, and it's all about unleashing these massive explosions, so clearly the lore presents it as this hyper-offensive Pokemon which can deliver insanely powerful attacks at the drop of a hat. Interestingly, that's not the only thing it can do. It can also create an intense heat to essentially hide behind. That right there clearly displays its capability to mask itself from its opponents, so I want to incorporate that into its move. So, its signature move becomes Explosive Flare. It's got 120 power and 80 accuracy, and upon connecting, the user creates Shimmering Heat, which will lower the target's accuracy by 1 stage. It has the same power as Fire Blast, but it's only a little less accurate, which is fair considering it'll lower the opponent's accuracy. Typhlosion is a one-trick pony, because all it can do is spam Eruption until it loses enough health to where it then wants to use Fire Blast. Adding a third powerful special attacking Fire-type move doesn't really seem necessary, but with a secondary effect like that, it's going to make it that much more of a threat. Lowering accuracy means it can avoid getting hit, which can quickly snowball into a problem for its opponent and potentially turn the tide of battle. Feraligator's most prominent aspect is that it's an alligator and it's called the Big Jaw Pokemon. Its Mega Evolution even emphasizes this further, so logically the next step is to give it a signature move involving biting. Many of the Pokédex entries talk about how it's a very vicious Pokemon, and since it's based on alligators, alligators are known for something called the Death Roll. The alligator will bite down on its prey and perform this roll to rip them apart. Surely this is something that can be reflected in Feraligator's signature move, so it's going to get Ferocious Chomp. This is a binding move with 95 power and 90 accuracy, which will trap the target into battle for the next 2 to 5 turns. Additionally, the target will lose 1/8 of their max HP at the end of each turn while they are trapped by this move's effect. The biggest downside to this move is that Feraligator has Sheer Force as its hidden ability, so it can't use this move to its full extent unless it's running Torrent. Feraligator has Liquidation, so if its signature move isn't stronger than Liquidation, then there's no reason to use it if you're running Sheer Force. Although it's stronger, it doesn't have a 100 accuracy like Liquidation does, so you can either have something stronger but has a 1 in 10 chance to miss, or something that is weaker but won't miss under normal circumstances. Sceptile used to have a Leaf Blade as its signature move, which is pretty good in Generation 3. But then the physical special split happened, and this move became widely accessible, so it's no longer its signature move. Sceptile is fast, it can slice down thick trees no problem, and is said to be without peer in jungle combat. But it also has a nurturing side. The seeds on its back are bursting with nutrients and can revitalize trees. It even raises trees in forests with loving care. So Sceptile's signature move is Forest Wrath. It's a special attack with 90 power, 100 accuracy, and just like its old signature move Leaf Blade, which has a high chance to land a critical hit, so does this move. But it also has a 10% chance to raise all of the user's stats by 1 stage. Basically, this move would give Sceptile an Omni boost, and it pretty much would be the grass-type variant of moves like Silver Wind, Ancient Power, and Ominous Wind. The only difference being that this move has 90 power compared to the other moves which only have 60 power. And I know, that does sound insane, but because this is a signature move and it's for a starter Pokemon, I think that's actually a fair trade-off, since this will be Sceptile's signature move, and there's only that very slim chance of its secondary effect actually activating. Blaziken's old signature move was Blaze Kick. It's an 85 power fire-type physical attack with 90 accuracy. It also has a 10% chance to burn the target and has a high chance to land a critical hit. I wouldn't say it's a bad move, but Pokemon is keen on not making a reliable fire-type physical attack. They're either fairly weak moves, or they are powerful, but they have severe drawbacks, like Flare Blitz, which deals recoil damage. The only physical fire-type moves which hover around 80 to 90 power are signature moves, so let's give Blaziken some love. Blaziken's signature move is going to become Blazing Kick. Yes, I know, it sounds original. It's a 50 power move with 100 accuracy and will always hit twice. I'm also just going to transfer Blaze Kick's secondary effects to this new move. Each hit has a 10% chance to burn the target and has a high critical hit ratio. It's literally Blaze Kick but better. It's got better accuracy and it's only got 50 power, but it's always going to hit twice, so it actually has 100 power. Not only that, but because it's a multi-hitting move, it has the innate effect of breaking through Focus Sash and sturdy users. For Swampert, its signature move used to be Muddy Water, but let's change the name to this new move to Muddy Hurl. I'm going to give it 90 power just like Muddy Water, but Muddy Water has 85 accuracy. but let's give Muddy Hurl 100 accuracy. The real power of this move comes from its 50% chance to lower either the target's accuracy or speed by 1 stage. Just like with the other Gen 3 starters, Swamperd's new signature move is just better than its old one by every metric. I mean, Swampert already doesn't care about using Muddy Water. It already has Surf, which has the same power and 100 accuracy. Sure, it doesn't have a 30% chance to lower the target's accuracy, but that's not worth it when the drawback means there's a chance to miss the attack. Not only would this signature move be better than Muddy Water, but it would also be better than Surf, because while the power and the accuracy are the same, it also has a secondary effect. And I also took inspiration from the ground-type moves Mud Slap and Mud Shot. One has a guaranteed chance to lower the target's speed, and the other has a guaranteed chance to lower the target's accuracy. Since Swampert is a ground type, it's a nice nod to those moves, so its signature move is pretty much inspired by 4 moves rolled into one. Now, usually, the starter Pokemon have signature moves which are the same type as their primary type. Only a few have signature moves based off their secondary type, and the only trio which has all signature moves based on their secondary type are the Hisuian starters. Since the Generation 4 Pokemon are all dual type, I'd like to make their signature moves the same type as their secondary type. Torterra is a giant lumbering tortoise, and it's part ground type, which is great offensively. I'd like for its signature move to be offensive based as well, but also complement grass type's affinity to replenish their own health. Earthshaker is a ground type physical attack with 80 power and 100 accuracy, which will heal the user's HP up to half the damage inflicted upon the target. This move might also lower the target's defense, so it's kind of like Giga Drain and Macha Gotcha, except it's a ground type physical attack. Torterra has stronger ground type options like Earthquake and Headlong Rush, but it's pretty bulky on the physical side and has some pretty good physical attack, so this move can help make it a defensive wall. But I felt like this move being just ground type Giga Drain didn't feel good enough, so I included a slim 10% chance to drop the target's defense by 1 stage. It's not much, but it's something to make this move more versatile. Infernape is the second firefighting type introduced in the franchise, so making its signature move fighting type will help make it stand out from Blaziken. Infernape's hidden ability is Iron Fist. This ability boosts the power of punching moves by 50%. Infernape can make use of Drain Punch to attack and restore its HP, and Mach Punch since it's a priority move, but those are its only fighting type punching moves that can actually use this ability. Sure, dealing damage is great, but these moves are mainly used because of their effects. But imagine if Infernape could take full advantage of this ability with a punch-based signature move, which is Flurry Fist, a fighting type move with 25 power and 100 accuracy that will hit between 2 to 5 times. 25 power is on the weaker side, but with Iron Fist boosting it by 50%, each attack will have 37.5 power. Not only that, but you can let this Pokemon hold a loaded dice, which will guarantee this move will either hit 4 to 5 times. To put that in perspective, the strongest fighting type physical attack is Close Combat. It has 120 power, but comes with a huge drawback of lowering the user's defense and special defense by 1 stage whenever you use this move. Flurry Fist, on the other hand, will hit 4 to 5 times whenever Infernape is holding a loaded dice, meaning its power will either be 150 or 187.5, and it won't come with any drawbacks. Now, under these conditions, this move will easily be the best fighting type move for Infernape, and not even Focus Sash or sturdy users can stop it because it will break right through them. Empoleon's Pokedex entries talk about how it can swim as fast as a jet boat, and if anyone were to hurt its pride, it'll attack with its wings. But to be honest, it's hard to believe it's as fast as a jet boat with base 60 speed. And given Empoleon's hidden ability was changed from Defiant to Competitive, I can see how both abilities reflect how its pride was hurt, so it raises a stat by 2 stages as a result. And with base 111 special attack, it's gonna hit pretty hard once Competitive is activated. But even then, Empoleon still has trouble making use of it because it's not really that fast. Yeah, you can use agility to raise its speed by 2 stages, but how useful would that really be? It's common to run into opponents who want to lower your Pokemon stats, so Competitive is pretty useful, so I think it's possible to run agility. However, I think the signature move I came up with would be far more beneficial. Empoleon gets the signature move Emperor's Pride, a steel-type special attack with 130 power and 90 accuracy. This move will charge the first turn, which will then raise the user's speed by 2 stages, then attack the second turn. It's essentially a variant of moves like Meteor Beam and Electro Shot since they are 2-turn moves, but they boost the user's special attack by 1 stage on the first turn. Just throw a Power Herb on Empoleon and it gets a one-time usage to double its speed and special attack on the same turn. 2 stages might seem excessive, but since Empoleon only has base 60 speed, it's still going to get outsped by a lot of Pokemon if it only boosted its speed by 1 stage. Superior is another regal and prideful Pokemon, but this thing is severely lacking in every stat aside from its speed. It doesn't really excel in anything, and the only thing it really has going for it is its hidden ability, Contrary. With this ability, all stat changes have the opposite effect. For example, Leaf Storm will lower the user's special attack by 2 stages whenever it is used, but because of Contrary, this will raise the user's special attack. It's a neat niche, but Contrary Superior is severely lacking in diversity. Yeah, it can use Dragon Pulse and Terra Blast, but that's about it. I really wanted to create a signature move that could be used in conjunction with Contrary, but I had a difficult time coming up with something that I think would fit thematically. So, just like with Feraligatr, it can only make the best use of its signature move while having Overgrow as its ability, so its signature move is Regal Surge. By going all out, the user maximizes its attack and special attack, but at the cost of losing half of their max HP. It's a status move, and it's essentially the grass-type version of Belly Drum, but also maxes out the user's special attack. Obviously, this would be terrible for Contrary Superior, but the Pokédex states it only goes all out when the opponent is not fazed by its glare. So what's a better way to exemplify it going all out than to maximize its attacking stats? Sure, it's unusable on Contrary Superior, but at least you can have more options. You can either run Contrary Leaf Storm Superior or Overgrow Regal Surge Superior. And hey, it's probably more beneficial that you run Overgrow anyways. I mean, aside from Contrary making it so that your attack and special attack will become the lowest they possibly can. But with Overgrow, it can use this move, and if it's holding a Citrus Berry, it will restore 25% of its health. Then once it's hit, hopefully it falls down to 33% of its health. That way Overgrow will make all of its grass-type attacks even stronger. I don't think it's too hard to meet those conditions. Paired with its base 113 speed, and Superior becomes a terrifying mixed attacker. Emboar is the third firefighting type starter Pokemon that we got back to back. I'm not gonna lie, Emboar is probably my least favorite starter Pokemon if we're judging them based solely on their designs. But just because of how similar it is to the other firefighting type starter Pokemon, I think there's enough room to give it a signature move to help distinguish it from the others. And I'm gonna give it a move to complement its hidden ability, Reckless. Reckless will increase the power of moves which deal recoil damage by 20%. And to be honest, I'm not really a fan of moves that deal recoil damage, but if this is Emboar's signature move, then I guess I might as well play into it. So, its signature move will be Infernal Assault. It has 150 power, 90 accuracy, and will deal recoil damage to the user. It also has a 10% chance to burn the target. Now, this move is essentially Flare Blades, but stronger. I could have given it 100 accuracy, but I didn't want to make it completely unnecessary to use Flare Blitz. Yes, it's stronger, but with 90 accuracy, there's still that very slim chance that it could miss. And I'm pretty sure most people would rather run this move anyways, but there's still that option to run Flare Blitz if you're really that concerned about that small chance to miss. And because Emboar has Reckless, this move's power jumps to 180. Samurott is a samurai, and it's got these seashells it uses to attack. In Generation 5, only the Samurott line and the Cloistered line can learn Razor Shell. It's got decent power and a 50% chance to lower the target's defense. It's a pretty good move, but with 75 power, it'd rather run stronger physical water-type moves, which also have better accuracy. So unless standard Samurott has Sharpness as an ability, there's no point in running it when there are stronger water-type physical attacks like Aqua Tail, Waterfall, and Liquidation. The Pokédex says Samurott can draw its scimitar, strike the opponent, and sheath its weapon in the blink of an eye. And that alone is enough to one-shot its opponent. That requires some serious coordination and precision, so I think a way to incorporate that into a move is by giving it Scimitar Strike. It's got 80 power and 100 accuracy with the secondary effect of targeting the target's defense or special defense, depending on which is lower. Not only that, but the target's defensive stat, which was targeted, will drop by 1 stage after the attack. Samurott gets blown out the water by its Hisuian counterpart. Hisuian Samurott has higher base attack and speed, stab to an additional type, ceaseless edge, and sharpness as its hidden ability, so it's just a better attacker. If Samurott wants to compete against that, then its signature move has to be worth it. Targeting the target's weaker defensive stat is really good because of how exploitative it is, but guaranteeing it will lower said weaker defense allows Samurott to 2 to 3 shot most Pokemon, or enough to force a switch because of their lowered stat. Now, from this point onward, every trio of starter Pokemon have or once had signature moves. Chestnut's signature move was Spiky Shield, which was essentially Protect, which harms the target if they used a contact move. That's pretty neat, and it's obviously better than Protect, but I wouldn't say this is a revolutionary signature move. Chestnut is a defensive tank, so it makes sense, but I think giving it an actual attacking move would suit it much better. But what could we give it? It's just this really tough Pokemon, so its signature move should reflect that by giving it a move which deals a lot of damage. I know I want to give it a Grass-type physical attack because it doesn't really have that many options when it comes to Grass-type physical attacks. I guess you could try running Bullet Seed, but more than likely, it'll run Wood Hammer, which deals recoil damage. Aside from that, there's not really anything else it could work with. So the signature move I'll give it is Heavy Tackle. This move has 120 power, just like Wood Hammer, but 90 accuracy. I think a 1 in 10 chance to miss is a reasonable drawback since it doesn't deal recoil damage, but this move also has a 30% chance to paralyze the target. I mean, it can learn Body Press and Body Slam, which also has a 30% chance to paralyze the target. Both are moves where the user just throws their body on top of the target. So yeah, I think it's believable for a Pokemon like Chestnut to be capable of paralyzing Pokemon with its signature move. Of the Generation 6 starters, I find Delphox's signature move to be the most interesting. Mystical Fire has 75 power with a guaranteed chance to drop the target's special attack. That's pretty good because it's got some decent power, which also serves as a great utility move to handicap special attackers. But this is no longer its signature move, so we gotta come up with something new. One thing that has always bothered me is that Delphox has Magician as its hidden ability. Magician steals the target's held item when the user attacks, and the target's held item will now become the user's held item. However, the user can't be holding an item if it wants to steal the target's held item, and why would you not want your Pokemon to be holding an item? If Delphox manages to survive a knockoff, then yeah, this ability will come in handy, but I wouldn't say it's doing it many favors. Delphox is based on a witch, so sure, I can see it casting some spells and doing some magic tricks. So let's try to make its signature move where it can use its hidden ability to its advantage. Magician's Fire is a fire-type special attack with 65 power and 100 accuracy. If the user has a held item, they will perform a magic trick which will burn their held item, but doubles this move's power. This move can easily have 130 power, and while getting rid of your held item isn't good, I can see Delphox using this to its advantage by being able to hit even harder if it was holding a Choice Specs or Life Orb. And then it's going to have that next turn to steal the opponent's held item, and then it can just use this move all over again to double its power. I think it makes for a fun gimmick to go hand in hand with its hidden ability. Now we got Greninja, and its signature move is Water Shuriken, which is still its signature move since no other Pokemon has this move. However, what it does is that it hits anywhere from 2 to 5 times. That's not bad, but this move only has 15 power, so it's either going to range from 30 to 75 power, which is pretty underwhelming for a signature move. But the reason why Pokemon did this is because Water Shuriken is a priority move, so it will always move first. But even though it's a priority move, it still doesn't really want to run this move when there are better water-type moves. And Greninja is really fast, so how often would it need to use a priority move? But let's just rework Water Shuriken. Let's have it start out at 60 power, and then this move will gain 20 power every time it is used. But there has to be a limit, so I'd say let's just have it cap out at 200 power. To be honest, I think that's fair. There's no priority, and while it does start off pretty weak, you just gotta use it 2 to 3 times before it becomes really powerful. And it's not gonna reset if the user switches out. That will become its new power for the rest of the battle. And now on to the Generation 7 starters. Now the Generation 7 starters don't have bad signature moves, but they're definitely awkward. First up, we have Decidueye. Decidueye's signature move is Spirit Shackle, which is actually pretty good based off the move alone. It's a Ghost-type physical attack with 80 power, 100 accuracy, and traps the targeted Pokemon in battle as long as the user is on the field. But Decidueye isn't a fast Pokemon. It only has a base 70 speed, so it's not like it's going to outspeed a lot of Pokemon. Therefore, it's more than likely going to move second, so I'm pretty sure most Pokemon hit by this attack wouldn't really even care having to be trapped in battle with Decidueye. I mean, yeah, it's cool because you have the option to switch out of battle and into a more favorable matchup without needing to worry about the opponent switching out as well. But Decidueye mainly uses this move to deal damage, and now that it knows Poltergeist, a stronger Ghost-type physical attack, it prefers to run that move over its own signature move. The first change I would make to Spirit Shackle is raise it from 80 power to 90 power. That way, it will have the same power as its Hisuian form signature move. But the second and biggest change I would make is that Spirit Shackle now traps the target into battle for 2 turns, even if the user leaves the field. Whether Decidueye switches out or faints, the target has to stay in the battle until those 2 turns are up. I think this does Decidueye much more justice because it can switch out of battle for a more favorable matchup, and the target is forced to stay in for an additional turn, allowing you to get a free knockout or set up if you want. Putting aside Incineroar's absolute dominance in doubles, what does Darkest Lariat have to offer? It's got 85 power and 100 accuracy and bypasses the target's stat raises. Okay, That's pretty good because it's a great counter to stall Pokemon, but how often do you see Incineroar running this move? It already learns Knockoff, which is up there as one of the best moves in the game, so that leaves a little room for Darkest Lariat. Sure, it can bypass evasion and the user's defenses, but I don't really see Darkest Lariat used all that much. If it were up to me, I would change it so that this move has a 50% chance to raise any of Incineroar's stats by one stage. Incineroar's Pokédex talk about how egotistical it is and how selfish it is and how it wants to be the center of attention. On top of that, it's based off of a wrestler who are all about having this really showboaty personality where they want to show off. Incineroar is a wrestler and it's full of itself, and if it wants all eyes on it, then what's a better way to exemplify this than allowing it to have that chance to raise its stats? Sure, Knockoff is good, but with a 50% chance to raise any of its stats, I think this move would have some serious potential. Primarina definitely has the weirdest signature move amongst the starters. It's a special attack with 90 power and 100 accuracy, which will cure the target of their burn. I mean, that's a unique secondary effect, and it has its use in doubles because it has the same power as Surf, but Surf will hit all of the Pokemon on the field, whereas Sparkling Aria only targets a single Pokemon. However, it's just so weird that it cures burn, but will not cure any other status condition. And on top of that, why would you even want to cure the target of their burn with this move? Sure, it's useful against a Guts user because they typically like to be burned to get that boost to their attack. But even if you hit them with this move, they typically hold a Flame Orb, so unless they are no longer holding a Flame Orb, it's just gonna reactivate and burn them once again. I think Game Freak thought it would make a cool niche in doubles, because this will also cure your ally, but they're also gonna take damage from this move, and it's not like it's a light attack since it has 90 power. That's not going to be worth it in most cases, so I wouldn't recommend using this move solely based on its secondary effect. Lapras can learn Sparkling Aria as well, so Primarina is going to have to get a new signature move anyways, which will be Remedial Melody. It's got 90 power and 100 accuracy and will cure the target of any status condition. So not just non-volatile status conditions like burn and paralysis, but volatile status conditions as well like confusion. This is actually going to be a fairy type move instead of a water type move. There's two reasons why I did this. The first is that Decidueye and Incineroar have Ghost and Dark type signature moves respectively, so let's round it out by letting Primarina's signature move be Fairy type. And the second reason why I did this is because this is going to be a sound-based move. So since Primarina has a Liquid Voice as its hidden ability, it's going to change all sound-based moves to Water type, meaning this move can either be Fairy type or Water type depending on Primarina's ability. And I'd also change it to where if this move is used on its ally, then it won't deal damage, and it will simply cure them of their status condition. If the move present has a chance to either deal damage or heal the target, then I don't think it's too far off to say this move can do something similar. Rillaboom has the signature move Drum Beating, which has 80 power and a 100% chance to lower the target's speed. Now, speed control is great, but Rillaboom has Grassy Surge as its hidden ability, and it has access to Grassy Glide, which is weaker than Drum Beating, but this move will always have priority in grassy terrain. So what's the point in using a move which lowers speed when you can just run a weaker version which always has priority during grassy terrain? Sure, Grassy Glide was nerfed from 70 to 55 power, but even then, Grassy Glide is still better than Drum Beating. Now, I'd leave Drum Beating the same. However, I would throw in the additional effect of lowering the target's attack by one stage if grassy terrain is up. Now, would this make Drum Beating better than Grassy Glide? I'm not 100% sure, but paired with its hidden ability, it's going to hit pretty hard with this move, and lowering the attack and speed by one stage is really great. And while we're talking about great signature moves, I think Cinderace has the best of the three in Generation 8. Pyro Ball has 120 power and 90 accuracy, so it's pretty much the same as Flare Blitz as it doesn't deal recoil damage, but it has that small chance to miss. Now, I think this move is really good, but one thing that bugs me is that Pyro Ball only has a 10% chance to burn the target. That's not bad, but it always bugs me that most Fire-type moves only have a 10% chance to burn targets, while Scald, a Water-type move, has a 30% chance to burn. You're telling me Hot Water is 3 times more likely to burn someone than literal fire? Come on, it's already a really good move, but let's just make it just a little better by allowing Pyro Ball to have a 30% chance to burn the target. Inteleon has a neat signature move, Snipe Shot. Snipe Shot, which has a high chance to crit, will ignore moves which draw in attacks. For example, if a Pokemon uses Follow Me, all moves from the opponents will target the Pokemon who used Follow Me, but Snipe Shot will ignore that and proceed to hit its intended target. To be honest, I'm fine with this move. It cannot be redirected and has a high critical hit ratio, You may or may not use it that much in singles though, but it's better suited for doubles. However, just to make it a little better in singles, I'd give it the additional effect where it has a 30% chance to make the opponent flinch. I would definitely love to use Snipe Shot in both singles and doubles if it had the chance to make the opponent flinch. I mean, it's a sniper, so I'm pretty sure you can say that it knows how to target vitals in order to make them flinch. If Hisuian Decidueye can have 3 effects rolled into its signature move, then surely Inteleon can as well. The Hisuian starters all have some interesting signature moves, and technically, I wouldn't say any of them really need to be improved upon. Hisuian Decidueye has triple arrows, which is a pretty strong move, and essentially has 3 effects rolled into one. It has a high critical hit ratio, a 50% chance to lower the target's defense, and a 30% chance to make the opponent flinch. I'd say the last effect is the worst of the 3, since Hisuian Decidueye only has a base 60 speed, but still, it's a good signature move. Hisuian Samurott has Ceaseless Edge. It only has 65 power and 90 accuracy, but it has the hidden ability Sharpness, which will boost the power of Ceaseless Edge by 50%. Not only that, but it acts as a hazard-setting move. Each time it connects, it will lay a layer of spikes on the opponent's side of the field. Hisuian Typhlosion, on the other hand, has Infernal Parade. Conceptually, it's a neat signature move, but it's definitely the weakest of the 3 and the least likely to run its signature move. Infernal Parade will double in power if the target is already statused, and it has a 30% chance to burn the target. This move is just Hex, the only difference being that Infernal Parade has 5 less points in power and with the added effect to burn. There are stronger ghost-type special attacks to use, and if you really want to burn the target, then it's just more consistent to give Hisuian Typhlosion Will-O-Wisp. To be honest, just change this move from being identical to Hex. Get rid of it doubling in power, and just increase the power of this move to 90. Having a ghost-type move with 90 power and a 30% chance to burn the target does it much more justice, and it actually would want to use its signature move. There's also the Generation 9 starters, but they already have insanely good signature moves, so I'm not going to touch them. Flower Trick will always result in a critical hit, Torch Song will always raise the user's special attack, and Aqua Step will always raise the user's speed. And their signature moves are made even better because each of the Generation 9 starters also have insanely good hidden abilities. And that was the inspiration for this video. I wanted to replicate how good their signature moves were and give the other starters really good signature moves. But anyway, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, then please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. But I'll catch you in the next one. Later.